Hello and welcome to Inside Modular, the podcast of commercial modular construction, brought to you by the Modular Building Institute. With a compact footprint, variety of unit options, and seamless system management, City multi-variable refrigerant flow zoning systems from Mitsubishi Electric Trane HVAC US are a one-stop solution for modular projects. With efficient operation and the ability to connect to commercial ventilation equipment, third-party systems, and comprehensive control solutions, City Multi VRF can help you meet energy and performance goals on your next project. From off-site development to on-site assembly, you can trust our manufacturer-level support to guide you from system selection to design to startup, no matter the application. To learn more about our offerings, visit MitsubishiPro.com. Welcome everyone, my name is John McMullen, and I'm the Marketing Director here at MBI. Today I'm talking with Michael Heitsman, President of Development at Best Gen Companies. Michael is here to talk about Best Gen's new BG Flats project and to discuss how the labor shortage is affecting the construction industry. Michael, thanks for your time today.
Thanks, John. It's great to be here.
Tell me about yourself. How did you come to be at Best Gen?
Well, I took kind of a fun path. I actually started out my career as an architect, graduated from architecture school, got licensed, worked for a couple of different companies, one specializing in hospitals and medical field, and then transitioned to another company that specialized in senior living. And that firm was a little more fully integrated, similar to what I do now, but to not quite the extent that I do now. So going down that route with that company, I worked on a project where I was the head designer for a big senior living facility outside of Kansas City, partnership with a hospital there. And we designed three projects, or I was designing three projects. One of them was an assisted living 3-story facility. The second was a 4-story skilled nursing facility. And then the third was a fitness center. So designing all three of those projects at the same time, we had three different construction types. So I was doing the assisted living was modular construction. So that's where I got into the modular world. The skilled nursing was 4 stories, type 2 construction. So it had to be 2-hour rated. So we actually used a panelized light gauge prefab wall assembly for that project. And then the fitness center was just standard post and beam.
Sounds like quite the juggling act.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it was quite interesting. We had a really good team. It was a really good company. The partners there with the hospital and the other fitness company were great. It was just a great team. We communicated well. But doing the assisted living project really threw me into this modular world, not knowing a single thing about it. I kind of approached the project kind of like some architects do. A little hard-headed, thinking I knew what I was getting into, and it's quite a humbling experience, kind of looking back on it and learning what all I didn't know about modular construction. It's not as simple as lining walls up and making boxes stack on top of each other. So that was an incredible learning experience. There was a lot of things I learned after the fact of what not to do when it comes to modular, and so that's really helped my career moving forward. So when I decided after that project to leave that company, I started my own architecture firm called Pure Design in Kansas City. I started that with an emphasis on modular construction and consulting and designing in that world, because I really saw that there was a disconnect and a lack of communication between the architect, the owner, the contractor, and the modular factory. No one knew how to communicate what and when with each other to understand how to get the project done truly successfully. But I saw the incredible abilities that modular had, and so I saw there was a future there. So I just dove in and started my own firm, and right away started consulting with the factory that actually built my assisted living project in Kansas City. At the time, it was called Superior Building System. So I started consulting and designing hotels and multifamily projects for people, and the company just kind of took off. I ended up meeting Brandon Best Gen, who owns Best Gen Companies, the end of 2018. So we started talking over the phone, kind of hit it off, and needless to say, when he decided to purchase the factory in 2019 that I had been, working with, he asked me to come on board and head up his development side and bring the architecture firm in-house because he believed, as I did, that we wanted to create a fully integrated company that could come into a project, do our own development stuff, and come in and perform all aspects of a project. So that's where we started. In 2019, he bought the factory. I came on board, kept Pure Design, and it's still up and running. And when I came on board on the development side within GEN, I brought a good a friend of mine who took over, who's been in the architecture world as well for a while, Casey Culbertson, and he took over running the architecture firm, and has just been taking off with it. He had helped me previously with the modular, so he had experience there, and he dived in, and I think we're up to 6 employees now in the design firm. So that's taken off, and we're working on projects from a design standpoint I think he's got a project in New Jersey, clear out to several out in California and everywhere in between. So,
well, that's excellent.
Yeah, so that was a great thing. And then on the development side, I'm here in Rapid City and focusing on our own internal development stuff with Brandon, because that's essentially his background for the last 25 years. And BG Flats was the first big development deal that we've done holistically as a company, and brought the entire group together to get it done.
Well, that's awesome. It sounds like many exciting things are going on. BG Flats among them. I want to talk to you about that. You guys are setting that project right now. Is that right?
We are. So within companies, we have our own BG Construction, led by Donnie, he's built hotels and product all over the country as well. So he came in house and was willing to get our construction company up and going. So BG Flats is our first project, and we're actually setting it ourselves. So we're doing all the construction work, and it's our first set job. So
nice.
We've actually, what's been great about the modular industry is it's kind of a community where people love to share and help each other out. Mm-hmm. So my first experience with modular was with a company that I think everybody in the modular industry knows of, ProSet. They set my first project, and I got to know Scott and Matt up front right away, and been talking to them and working with them ever since. And so they've set a few other projects for us that we've designed and built, and they're just great guys. So they were willing to step in and give us some pointers and help us figure this out. Offered to, come and sit on the sideline and point things out to us if we needed it, but they're always a phone call away. And so we just felt that we were willing to and able to get in and set our own box. So it's going a little slower, not as fast as if those guys were doing it, but we're getting it done and we're getting it figured out.
Well, so what can you tell me about that project specifically?
So it's going to be market rate apartments here in Rapid City.
Okay.
It's 51 modular boxes. It's 42 apartment units consisting of 6 studio apartments, 16 one-bedroom apartments, and 20 two-bedroom apartments. It's actually designed based around our own plug-and-play concept that we developed with us having, architecture in-house, and with our experience there. Mm-hmm. We really approached this project to create a concept and a design that we could easily just go into any new development and plug and play or adapt the project to fit the need of the pro forma of the specific site, that kind of thing. So we have a studio, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, even a 4-bedroom units, as well as fitness, entry, common area, circulation, that all fit within the same parameters and grid. So you can literally pull one piece out and stick another one in. You can have a 2-bedroom that sits over a 1-bedroom and a studio, or vice versa. So we don't have to stack our same unit types above each other. We don't have to do all the typical things that really kind of constrains you with modular. We're a lot more flexible with it. So
very cool.
Yeah, we approached it really as a team concept, and we got the guys in the factory on board to really think about how the factory builds and how they're doing things to influence the design. And then we got our contractor and our subs on board early on in the design to say, okay, well, let's think about this from an end game. What does it look like when it sets? What do we do in the factory versus what do we do on site? So it's really helped. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You finish.
Oh no, that's it.
Okay. I was going to ask. I was reading about the BG Flats project and some of the other projects that you guys have done. And the BG Flats is housing. It's in a more of a suburban setting. And I was going to ask, what's the biggest difference between the BG Flats project and maybe some of your previous projects that were not in suburban areas?
Well, so I guess it really there's not a huge difference other than we've really, we've been really strategic about not settling just because we've always done it. So our big thing in the company is to always be improving and always be adapting and always be innovating, and try things and see if it works and see if it works for the better or not.
Gotcha.
So with this one, we actually took the concept of, okay, well, let's look at this from what all can we do in a factory to really simplify the site. I mean, we went so far down to look at all the details for the exterior finish, for the roofing, the finished roof membrane, for our parapets, all that kind of stuff to see, okay, what all can we do in the factory to save us time on site? So when you get into more of the rural development, it's harder to get subs out there. So if we can do more in the factory, then we have, doing the rural side and the harder to get to sites is a lot easier.
Gotcha. And speaking of rural settings, and this is a bit of a sidebar, I was watching the video on your website that was showing the setting of the Holiday Inn in 7 days, which was really great video to watch. But I noticed it was really windy in the time-lapse video that you created. And so just my own curiosity, how do you account for that wind when you're setting mods with a crane?
You make sure you have a good group. So that project was set by GEN Modular, which is another very good set crew. And it takes a good crane operator and a good team and good communication. So we didn't set that. So that project, we were the architects for, and we were the modular factory for, but it was a different developer and different GC. It's actually an owner developer GC that did it that we've worked with in the past. This is their second modular project, and they're just really getting good at it from their own standpoint of doing the site work and development side of it. So,
okay.
But they brought GEN Modular in to set it, and I think they did have to take one day off because of it was just way too windy. But otherwise, they were able to make it go at it.
Very good. I was just curious. So back to BG Flats. Tell me about the history of that project. How did it come about, and what was the design process and the construction process like for that project?
The project started, Brandon has been doing real estate development, like I said, for 25 plus years. So he's got a couple properties here, more than a couple, he's got several properties here in Rapid, both land and actual buildings. And we started to have a gap in our line there at the factory. So we decided to go ahead and proceed with doing our own apartment complex to help fill that gap. Is really originally why we decided to move forward with it. So we kind of pushed the design. But what was great about it, because we have design and construction and everything in-house, we were able to really talk through it and get the design done quicker, solve a lot of problems ahead of time, a lot of issues that always come up. And then, again, because we have design and construction in-house, when things did come up, we were able to solve them a lot faster. I'll give you one example of that. We had as you know, the industry right now is struggling struggling with labor, materials, everything. So we started out with the design doing an EFIS facade on the project. Well, we could not find an EFIS installer to come and do it that wasn't, months out or trying to charge us a ton of money to do it. And so we decided, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. And so we literally sat down because we have everything in house and sketched out on some trace paper a new design utilizing LP siding and came up with a new contemporary kind of look that still looks good, feels good, and goes after the look we were going for. And we were able to do it in a couple hours, and we were able to adjust pricing and get a sub on board and not lose any time in the schedule and actually save some schedule time and utilize a product we knew we could get at a price we could that fits within our budget.
So now that the modules are being stacked, is there a timeline for finishing the project?
Yeah, I think they're hoping to be open by August, running out by August.
Okay, very good, very good. And you mentioned some of the challenges that you had during the process of design. Are you anticipating any other challenges to complete the project, or does everything look smooth ahead for you?
Well, I wouldn't say smooth.
Okay.
The way it's going right now. We're still running into material problems and delays every day. Even just getting lumber on site to do some of the minimal site components. But even finding labor has been a struggle. We've been trying to hire guys for a long time to run the different parts of our construction. So with the amount of work we've done in the factory and how modular friendly it is and how site friendly it is now that it's set, as long as the guys we have hired don't leave, then I think we'll be okay.
So it's a good time to segue, I think. Speaking of challenges, and this has sort of been a recurring theme through just this conversation of a shortage of labor. The construction industry as a whole has been challenged by labor shortages over the past several years. So what's your take on that? How has Best Gen been impacted by that directly? And where do you think we go from here?
Well, I think the one struggle Best Gen has, just with where we're located, regionally around the country, is here in the Midwest, you don't have the same construction costs that you do out in California. And so out there, when you're paying, $300 a square foot plus to build a hotel, you can charge more for the boxes. Well, a lot of our customers here in Colorado and Minnesota and South Dakota and Nebraska, and they can build it cheaper. So that's one thing that we're up against. And then the labor itself, finding the people to come in, as you said, it's been 2 or 3 years of this labor shortage, and we see it all the time. We with our company, we've had to offer, and we've wanted to, full benefits and just go above and beyond with extra incentives to get people on board. We pay a good salary. We have sign-on bonuses. We have all these other things we've had to do and incorporate to get people in the door. So, and then, we've been good about when we're finding good talent, keeping them, do whatever it takes to keep them. So,
do you feel that the labor shortage has affected you guys? You're based in South Dakota. Is the labor shortage affected you guys in your area of the country any differently than other parts of the country that you've noticed?
I say it's all about the same. As far as me, I haven't noticed any different. That when I talk to other developers and other factories and GCs out there, from Arizona to California, everyone's struggling with it. So I don't think it's better or worse around here. It's just something that everyone has to try to solve and figure out how to get past.
So this may not be something that we solve here and now, but what's in your view, just from your experience in the industry, how can we, as an industry, address that overall shortage?
Well, so some things that we started doing here as a company is attacking the problem early on, like going to the high school and talking with kids and trying and actually doing things where we can find good talent and actually pay for them to go to the technical school or go to the technical colleges and finding some good talent there and saying, hey, we'll pay for your school if you commit to staying with us for 5 years or something after the fact. I think to solve the issue, companies are going to have to get innovative like that. I think for me, I was pushed growing up that you had to go to college, you had to go get a 4-year degree. And it's how I don't believe that that's the case. I think there's several other avenues to go and be extremely successful without having to go to a 4-year degree. So if you have a skill or something you're passionate about and something you love to do, then go and do it. Or if there's something you're good at doing, just go do it and try it. So.
Well, I think that's great, especially going into schools. I know of several other members of MBI have started similar initiatives at their local colleges, community colleges, high schools, technical schools. So that's great. I'm thrilled to hear you guys are doing that. I think it's the right way to go, but we'll see. Changing gears one more time, from a development point of view, what advice can you offer newer modular companies or those who are exploring modular construction?
If you're wanting to get into modular construction, just find a good team to work with. There's some really great contractors out there that know what they're doing. There's some really great architects out there that know what they're doing. And, really investigate that and dig into that. And the architects can design, whether it's site-built or modular. And so if you find a good one that you can work with, then you can go kind of either route with. And that's one thing that we started doing early on from the design standpoint is we'd take a project and we went under contract with you for the design, we'd do pretty much a modular package to assess it to see if it made sense going modular with. And if the owner came back and decided after that then that he didn't want to go modular, then we would just transition our whole team to do site built, and it wouldn't cost anything else. So, or if they want to stay modular, we'd keep going modular. But I think the issue is, a lot of developers go into it and just design a standard building that's not modular, that might be able to be built modular, but it's not efficient modular. And then they'll just get an architect to draw something up, and then they'll go talk to a modular factory and say, hey, can you build this? Well, most factories out there will be able to figure out how to build it. It just doesn't always make sense that it's at that point really makes sense to go modular. So if it's done right with the right team and thought through in the beginning, modular there's so many advantages to it. And it's not, I think people also get hung up on, well, I got to do a Lego block building that everything is identical and stacks on top of each other, and it's just this square or rectangle thing. And that's not the case. I mentioned the innovative aspect of what we do, and we've really pushed the limits on that from the design to the factory to the construction. And we've designed some 2-story clear story spaces. We designed a bank. We designed a credit union that has a 2-story lobby that has one box that opens up to a box on top of it. You can design stuff. I know this is pretty common, the cantilever thing. We've patented, I think we have 5 different patents out on some unique things we've come up with. We can span like 30 to 40 feet within our box to span over pools, so you don't have the additional steel for the site component, and so you can save a lot of money there. But it also gives you the flexibility to have open spaces underneath it without all the columns, or open boxes up next to each other without all the columns inside it. So there's a lot of flexibility in it if you know what you're doing and you can think through it. So early on, I'd say find an architect, find a GC, find a factory, and just create that partnership and just have good open communication.
Excellent advice. Thank you. What's the rest of the year look like for Best Gen? I know you've got your BG flats going up now, but beyond that, what's on the horizon?
On the horizon, we're actually getting ready to do some townhouses. Then we're transitioning into a senior living project and probably another multifamily thing. So we're pretty busy there and that's our Watertown factory. We're actually getting ready to open a Southwest plant. I can't get too much into the details on that. We've toured a couple of different buildings, and I think our CEO is flying down there in a week or two to walk through another one. But we have several projects we're out on the West Coast that we're looking at building out of our new facility that we're getting ready to open.
Well, very cool. I really appreciate your time today, Mike. Congrats again on the BG Flats project. It looks fantastic. I hope you don't run into any more trouble before your opening in August.
Thanks. I really appreciate that.
My name is John McMullen, and this has been another episode of Inside Modular, the podcast of commercial modular construction. Until next time.